Hello, everybody. Welcome to Tuesday here on Virginians for Children's First. I am excited. I hope you're excited. In 11 days, we are going to have, last year, this time, we hosted James Lindsay, the Marxification and Education in Crystal City. And for Virginia, that was a little bit, I thoroughly enjoyed a whole weekend of it, and a lot of people there did too. But it was a little for people to start to understand, especially in the state of Virginia, what's exactly going on. And when I say going on, it's everywhere, in every division, across the country, across the state, even in Virginia, even in red states, it's everywhere. And so it's called Our Hidden Curriculum. And we are flying in the amazing Lisa Logan, who is, she is Parents of Patriots. I know that she writes for the Federalist. She has got an amazing Substack, but she's all over the place. You know, if you look up, now there's a lot of Lisa Logans, but, you know, she recently spoke at the UNCSW 67 on March 9th. Her presentation is one of the, where I didn't even know her when I found it. And I found her presentation, and it was really where I started to like dig the pieces out. And, you know, Benjamin Boyce, she's amazing. And so, you know, she brings to the table a completely different understanding, which is why we're flying her in from Utah, is so that people can understand that what I talk about, it's everywhere. And then Deb's going to join us. We all have life right now, but the reason we learn is Deb's channel. Where I learned the majority of was a series that we did last year called defunded.gov. And in this, I had the pleasure of meeting Lisa. We actually did one on SEL's evil twin. So that's a good one to go in and watch. It's talking about like behavior screeners. And so I've learned everything by reaching out to those who understood long before me, long before us. And when we were talking about this event, we kind of came to the consensus that people are getting caught up in the verbiage. Well, we don't have social emotional learning. We have life skills. Or we don't have SEL. We have, there's Deb. We don't have SEL. We have character education. Or we don't have this. We have something, whatever. And people are getting caught up in the verbiage of it and not the process of what it's doing. So again, is that this event is going to be August 12th. It's in 11 days, next Saturday. It is in Fairfax. So it is in we're in Chesterfield, Central Virginia. We're bringing it to that specific area. One, it's more central for most of the state to get to. But when people think of Virginia, they think of whom? Loudoun and Fairfax. Now, I will tell you that that's a distraction mechanism, and it's everywhere, just to be clear. But the amazing, and I know that Virginia, Dr. Sheila Furey of Virginia Medical Freedom Alliance, who is, and I know everybody knows her as the COVID vaccine warrior because that's who she is, but she's also a child psychologist, and she has recently jumped into the arena of transgender and speaking out against that. She understands giving mental health to children without parents, especially, but by non-trained professionals, what it's doing. So we brought her in as an added, factor to tie it all together, that we're not just, they've educated before. I'm not an educator. I'm just a researcher and an advocate and a mom. But to have then Dr. Furey and Virginia Medical Freedom Alliance come in, who are doctors who are speaking out against this, which is very rare. And you can find it on Eventbrite. on our Facebook page, all the details, or you can go to www.vafcf.org. It's on there. And if you click, if you just send me a message, I'll send you this. It has all kinds of clicky links to their Substacks and their channels and all that good stuff. And this is what we're doing, and it's going to be amazing. So with that, I'm going to bring on Miss Lisa Logan from Utah. And then I believe Miss Deb Fillman.
Hey, Deb.
Hello. You look beautiful.
Yeah, well, you don't want to see what's going on below.
We were just talking. We were just talking about that. How I've done shows in my underwear before. Because
yeah, a little texturizing spray goes a long way for the workout hair.
Yeah.
Oh, dry shampoo.
Oh, your audience doesn't know. I'm kidding.
I don't have a rhino or based or any. I actually, because I have to run out the door to. We're restarting the Tea Party here because the GOP has got to have a different option. We have to find something else. So,
well, Lisa and I have learned from the people we've covered for all these many years how to conceal the truth. I'm kidding. We just apply to things that are completely innocuous and don't hurt children, like our attire and our makeup.
Exactly.
I've done midnight shows where I thought it was a good idea to like just jump on and not care, and I've gone back and like.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. So we're here.
So I opened up real quick, and I was talking about how we were talking about it is that we feel like not just in Virginia, but everywhere that people are caught up in the language. Like I don't have SEL, I have license. And so we had talked about making this a workshop, not a lecture, not you guys, like not leaving with more questions you came with or more Herbert Marcuse or Paulo Freire. I mean, more communist Marxists for you to then go. I mean, I think that we have to reinvent the wheel. And, just if whoever wants to go first, just a little bit about what's your history in this. And then, kind of what in 11 days, what we're going to attempt to do so that people leave understanding it's the process. And then the big question again is, what is the purpose of education? Is what we're going to really examine in this workshop. And I think that it's going to open a lot of eyes because I've been asking that a lot lately. And people look at me like, is that we have to really get back to what is the purpose of education? So
we might as well. And while we're at it, what is education?
Right.
Because that's
right.
As well. And,
and academic, we made shirts that said "Make Education Great Again," and then I was like, I would like to have those reprinted to say "Make academics great."
Well, right, and now you have parents saying, "Let's get back to basics," and I'm like, "Can you please define basics?" And I don't say things like this to be cheeky. What I hope, and I think Lisa would agree with this, is I hope and we hope through this workshop that we can get parents to think differently. So when presented with any information about their children, whether it's medical or educational, but we're going to be operating in the realm of education, that they ask really fundamental questions. So take nothing for granted, including the definition of education that you're working with, the definition of academics that you're working with, the definition of whatever. So what I heard you saying as you were doing the opener about people getting caught up in the language, that is so true. And we are in, as James Lindsay likes to say, a war of language. This is this particular culture war, if you want to call it that, is a war of words. And it's not a war of words of like, I'm going to call you names and you're going to call me. The people that we are up against, we parents, we're busy, we're working, we're trying to raise our kids. We're up against people who decided to throw out the dictionary, take words that we've long understood to mean one thing.
Correct.
They're using the same words, but they're redefining them to mean something else, so that we're just blindly going through life thinking everything's fine, and come to find out, wait a minute, hang on a second.
Like safe schools is one that I continuously, I'm like, there's guns. Is that we know they're not safe. Okay. They don't want, school research, like SROs on campus, because that's to prison pipeline. Like, is that so? It's I've been pointing out safe schools, and what that has been really what that really means. And so people can start, thinking, and it's hard because when you know the language has been rewritten, I said a lot of times, and I'm like, no. I mean, but it's something that parents really have to start asking the questions of, what do you mean? Especially we have a huge we're one of those off kilter states. And so November is crucial. School boards, senators, delegates, and it's not right. It's not R versus D anymore. It's good versus evil is really, and that there's a lot of people running that have good intentions that have no idea that Virginia's been clueless in education for so long, that the verbiage that they're speaking is actually something that they absolutely do not believe in.
Well, I think it's important to mention that something can be evil unintentionally. There are a lot of good, as you said, good people with the best of intentions, but by their actions, by the choices they're making or the choices foisted upon them, and their either inability to speak up or refusal to speak up about it, they are doing evil. We learned this from the Second World War, that a lot of really good people can end up looking back and saying, wow, probably shouldn't have done those millions of different choices that added up to evil being done. It's the banality of it. And we're seeing that in education. And I think what Lisa and I are trying to do with this workshop is to put parents literally in the position that their children are in and that some of the teachers are in, so they can see exactly how insidious it is and how it works. We can talk about it and what it is. And you can walk away with a lot of terms and a lot of, half understood ideas, and then realize, I don't think I could explain this to someone else very well.
Right. Yep.
So, Lisa could explain that as well.
Well, yeah. And I think it's so important that we do that, because these words they're using, safe, thriving, flourishing, healthy, it's like the Mott and Bailey thing. And I remember when we first started talking about doing the show, Deb was saying she'd just gotten back from doing another presentation, and she went to this whole thing of you need to stop being on the the defense. You need to start being on the offense and saying, hey, why are we doing this in schools? What benefit is this to my child? Also, all these questions. And then at the end of it all, some parent came up to her and said, so is this SEL? We get so caught up in, is this lesson this, is this lesson that, when we forget that there's underlying themes here. And these underlying themes, and as we take the participants of the event through those eyes of what is it like being a student participating in this, what is it like being a teacher, what is it like, having data collected on you or being asked these vulnerable questions, they're going to see that what they're saying is safe and inclusive and wonderful actually is very disturbing and very unsettling. And I hope that our participants come away, again, not having questions about what we're doing or these new definitions, but why is my child having to endure this every day? Why is this in schools? And I think that's my hope in doing this event, and I'm super excited to do it with you, Deb, and thank you so much, Anne, for having us out to Virginia. We're excited to come there.
Yeah, very much so.
Yes.
And I
because Virginia has been, from documents to read Liberty, Dr. Reisman, everything has come out of this state, and we're connected to DC. It's almost frustrating for me here to read 40 years of literature of who's been fighting what, and our state is so my plan the whole time is to bring, senators call me, the upsetter, I'm the wrench in the gears for how, and if that's who is it, but is that this is the Republican. That is what it was. Is that she called me the disruptor, and I was like, I'll wear a badge with pride, because at this point is that both sides of the, and unless you're far one way, is thinking that this is not about bullying, is what it is. People say, what do you want them to keep bullying children? And I'm like, I can't even respond to that.
Gaslighting anyway.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Is that, I have to think about do not, I'm going to mute you and I am not going to interact, because you can tell who's trying to bait you and who's not. But yeah, is that absolutely is because I think we have, delegates, people running, senators, school board members, people running for school board. And it's not a big like convention. You're not going to be talked at. Like these two amazing ladies they're going to be working with you. Like they're going to be answering questions. We're going to be having interactive. You're going to leave being able to carry to your community. Hopefully, we're going to any questions, and then it might get, is that, well, I believe this, or and we're going to have the conversations that I think a lot of times people are afraid to have, well, I think that this is good for my child, or my child has benefited from this, and then kind of put it into more of but all children, like, is that what people have to understand is, James Lindsay's example of putting chemo in the water for universal screening is really like the one when I tell people that, they're like, false positives, false negatives, and then you put poison in the water to save a couple, like is really like, kind of, people understanding that what's been good for your child. And then for the, it's like the kids they miss is what really breaks my heart, is when we hear about the kids committing suicide, the kids, it gets blamed on mental health. But then you think about when you give it to all children, the children you're missing is really like what I try to.
There is such a thing as too much of a good thing, and it stops being a good thing when, like it's given to people who don't need it. It's delivered by people who aren't trained to deliver it. There's so many factors here. And what I want parents to understand and come away from our session with is the realization that there is power in the unanswered question. So in other words, it is better actually at this stage to be asking questions that the people you're asking cannot answer, very publicly cannot answer, because what's happened thus far is we parents have been on the receiving end of questions like, prove it's CRT, prove it's bad, prove it's porn, prove it's this, prove it's that. No, it's not on us to prove that what we find a problem is a problem. It is actually on the people who have our children as a captive audience, who are using our tax dollars to pay for all of this stuff, whatever form it takes. It doesn't matter what you call it. It could just be the math class, but it is on them to explain to us, if we have this volume of questions about it, why it's good, why it's better than what used to be, because they make a lot of changes. Certainly not like it was when we went to school. So why did they change it? What was the impetus to change it? How do they know it's good? Why those people telling them and not us? Like, who are the people who get to decide? And then who's accountable if they're wrong? We've seen now, 70% illiteracy in America. Who's paying the piper for that? Our children. And
if you look at the graphs, the amount of federal funding, I'm like, the money versus the scores, it's like when you look at the amount, especially like over the last even 40 years, since Reagan, like that's been pumped from the federal government for this, and then you look at the scores, I mean, it doesn't take a genius to figure out that,
to do, as Ricky Ricardo
and that's that's the point we're at, is that you prove to me that what you're doing, because the score, they're not just low because of COVID, and I hope everybody knows that, like and is that, and then again, what are the scores? Like, is that we haven't even asked, like, how are you getting these? Like, and then the data thing too. We with the behavior screeners, we have to. We're gonna show we're gonna probably make them take one, and then show them what those questions that are asked on their children by a teacher, what that looks like on the other end, and then who knows how long that's going to sit there. Or what it's going to do when we talk about things like EQ and like social credit score, and so, so I'm excited. We have one of our amazing teacher. Let's see, where's Ted? He said, this is Ted. He is our, he's StreamYard on Facebook is that weird. You have to like consent for your name to come up, but Ted is a history teacher, and I will tell you that he is a history, and he teaches history, not civics or
Actions.
Yeah, no. And so I'm going to work with him on kind of coming up with for this, like when we talk about it systemically embedded, like what it looks like as a history lesson or social studies.
But if
Or
you
even
think,
math or
if you think
whatever.
about it,
Oh, yeah.
it is very hard for teachers. I do actually have sympathy for teachers who have principals and who don't want to do this and want to speak out, but have a variety of reasons. They certainly have as many reasons, if not more, for not speaking out while remaining in the system as parents have for continuing to send their kids into a system they know is garbage. So I get a little frustrated sometimes, even though I'm not a practicing teacher, when the same parents would tell me, like, I wouldn't even dream of homeschooling or leaving the system while they know that everything's terrible. They yell at the teachers, like, fix it. And the teachers in many cases are in the same, if not a worse boat than you, because this is their career. Maybe they've already given 20 years of their life to this. This is what they know how to do. This is what they want to do. It's their calling. The more it was their calling, the more upset they are. And what I've seen happen to people, we're talking death threats, we're talking doxing, we're talking lawsuits. We're not talking minor discomfort of, oh, my kid now doesn't have as many friends, or I have to find somebody to babysit my kid, etc. And
Ted's amazing. He said, "It's your children, and I won't destroy them." Like, he's been like the most, out, like I said, and and so it's like my sister teaches. She's taught kindergarten through third, and it's so like evasive, like the foundation of it in those early years that you don't even know what you're building the foundation for, especially like 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th, is so that the language of early, so like now it's birth, like, but even like the things that she's been told that she doesn't, trying to explain to her the foundation she's building for what's going to come later in life.
Teachers like Ted are, even the ones I'm talking about, they go in the classroom and they close the door and they do what they know is right. I'm not suggesting that they're going along to get along even with the curriculum. I'm saying they're not speaking out. So it does take a special degree of moral courage and also financial security and other things to be able to speak out openly and face what comes. So I would love to see some teachers actually come to this event.
And if teachers want to come, reach out to me. We will give you a discount. Like, is that people, if you get a group of people, like, is that we're just trying, like, it's like,
we want to support those teachers.
Yes, exactly.
That as much as we complain as activists, if you will, we will rally behind them. We will publicize their give, send, goes for their lawyers. We're not going to leave anybody high and dry who decides to stand with us as parents. And I consider myself sort of both, and say, I'm not only am I not doing this in my classroom just as a note, just like the other teachers are going, psst, we're giving them the porn anyway, right? They're saying that. Well, I think that the teachers who aren't should be able to speak up and join together and form their own coalition of, we're not doing it. I dare you to fire us. Yeah. Because you'll have a lot of parents behind you. A lot of parents.
Oh, absolutely.
Exactly.
Absolutely. And
this actually happened where I live. And this was right around the time I was going to give my first presentation. The teacher, a 7th grade choir teacher, had his dream job, was like the favorite teacher at the school down the street, saw the second step social emotional learning curriculum. He had to be trained on it because it was just going to happen whatever their second period was. And he just happened to have to teach it for a second period as a choir teacher. So just to show you that this is being taught by people who have no, background in this whatsoever. But he noticed how anti-family it was. And he actually went to the administration, asked, hey, can I teach something else? I don't feel comfortable with this program. When they pushed back, he quit. He quit his dream job.
Is this the resignation letter that I've read before about second step?
Probably,
I think, he outed the whole.
He sent a letter to his parents, and it just happened to be the week before I gave my presentation here in Utah the very first time. So there are teachers out there who really see that there's something wrong with the program, who makes children question the worldview of their families and cultures.
Yeah. So, All right, ladies. Well, I will touch base with y'all, and if anybody has any questions, like I said, I wanted before is like Deb's channel, The Reason We Learn. She's been doing this so long, but I mean, and you can you can watch it. When I first got started, defunded.gov, and then but I mean, she did so long, and then you can look at Lisa's been all over the place, but now her main page is
Parents of Patriots.
Yep, Parents of Patriots. Yep. And so this is all her, like, she gets more. She's like the UN.
If you want to nerd out, not that I say that with love and affection and all the admiration in the world, but if you really want the deep dive, like Lisa's like the brain and I'm like the mouth.
And I'm the research, like, right. And I've really started digging like the law, like in loco parentis and how like all that stuff. And so we all bring something different to the table. But this is so important for Virginia, because they've heard my mouth for a year and a half, screaming from the rooftops. And so for Virginia, for us, as tiny as we are, people are like, well, you're not relevant. Well, we haven't paid to be relevant. We are, because we've made more change in the last year and a half than any other.
Define relevant.
Yeah.
Well,
definition
compromised. I mean, our name, we're not.
Lisa and Ann, I want those parents walking out of there. I want them walking out of saying, what do you mean by that word? Define that word for me. Like, I need to make sure we're on the same wavelength. I want that to be the most like knee-jerk thing they do.
Right. But, when you have huge organizations that I won't name, having parents' rights and education filling up ginormous with, whoever's speaking, but they don't ever mention like PPRA or FERPA but how do you have a parent's rights and education? What is that? I stopped going to them. And, I've said before.
How about the fact we already have parental rights and we don't need them granted to us by government. And there's actually a risk associated with drafting a document that says, we now confer upon you parental rights. I'm like, whoa, hold the phone. I have those. You were supposed to protect them. Right. You don't get bonus points for coming in and going, we're going to grant you some of your rights back, like a little, maybe, if we feel like it. That's not parental rights. I have constitutional rights, which include what my right is as a parent. And the fact that so many people don't know that is a testament to how effective the miseducation of Americans has been.
Yeah. What's going on in Maryland right now with the whole opt-out thing? Like, I'm sorry, you guys are actually fighting because you think that you have to send your children to school and you don't have a choice. Like, have you read your state? I read their state constitution, first of all. Do you not know about, like, and I've contacted them and they will not change their course of how and I'm like, but is that, you actually think that you have to send your children to school? Like, that would make us not free. Like, think about it. Like, you are not free then. Like, this is no longer.
You have to wear a mask.
Yeah,
I didn't. But but that's the thing too, is that what natural rights, God-given, the foundation of this nation, is that no, you don't grant me anything, because that's the next thing that they're coming after hard. Like, after reading law reviews, and it's insane what's coming, and it's nothing but the UN child rights. I mean, that's all they cite. Like. Yep. That and like Amy, what it got. I mean, these like 3 people, but I mean, this is like Yale, Columbia, Arizona Law Review. Like, these are law reviews,
right?
Is that you have to understand what they're talking about, so that we can then stop being on the defense for once. Like, and that's what we really want to do here, is get ahead of, because it's going to get worse, because Virginia now has, even though they've already been doing it, trauma-informed care. His was legislation last year, bipartisan, unanimous. Okay. An actual mental health curriculum that when, and this is the one that I was like slapping down, like health standards, family life, social emotional learning, all mental, how much more mental health that parents don't know about. But that was bipartisan, unanimous. And my senator, who I worked close with, Amanda Chase, stood against a woman, an entire Senate on both sides of the aisle, and listened to what I had to say and told them that the unintended consequences of what they were doing. And she stood alone on both sides of the aisle. But that was bipartisan, unanimous too, is that we have to like really question these things, like with the and so that's what we're going to cover, is why these things are not good, and perhaps we are perpetuating what I call the self-licking lollipop.
Yes.
So if anybody has any questions, I think that you guys all know how to reach out, whether it's Twitter, Facebook. I am not the anonymous, like it. So any questions you have, and like I said, Dr. Furey is running a practice in her life, and but she's going to be there to talk about, transgender, and mention as a child psychologist, is that what this, and she's going to actually bring the medical aspect into it. And she's a hero to medical professionals come forward like she has, with the pushback. It says something, and she's amazing. So that we will see you guys. And Lisa, God bless you. She is flying the red eye from Utah in on Saturday, and then they're both going back out from Dallas on Sunday. So this is what we do. This is what you guys do.
Great, that you guys are in? I mean, the people who attend this are, I believe, in for a real treat. You're in for something that you're not going to get at most of the other conferences where people talk at you. And I've done a fair amount of talking at people, so I know. But you're going to get a chance to be in it, like your kids are, and I think that's a much better learning opportunity. And I'm really excited about it.
Yeah, and as soon as you said that, I was like, that's amazing. A workshop, like a literal workshop, like a working workshop, like where we can like even like do like sticky note, like all this stuff, like mind map it. Let's talk about it. Let's figure out the pros and cons. Let's, that's why I'm so excited about it, because we've done conferences, we've done talking at people, we've done all that before. And so this, I'm like, maybe we figured it out. Like, I think I've thought that like 25 times, but maybe this new process is going to do something. So
fingers crossed.
And as well as I know y'all, I'm just excited to see you in person. And like,
I know that too. It's a big treat.
I've never met either of you in person yet. I'm so excited.
Yeah.
Again, I'm wondering how long it'll take you guys to be like, you're so short. That's what literally everybody says the minute they meet me. They're like, you're taller on Twitter. I'm like, what does that mean?
It's like when I picked up Lynn Taylor at the train station, I was like, you're really tiny. Like when she came into town, I'm tall. So
I'm not.
Lisa, I would think you're tall too. You would seem pretty tall, I'm guessing. But if you got out and you were like 5'3", I'd be like,
no. When I met Kelly too at Moms for Liberty, it was kind of hilarious. I was like, hi.
Oh, okay. I would think that she's tall too. Like,
she's tall.
I'm good.
And it happens every time. When I met Robert Pundicio, and I picked my little butt up and walked right over and introduced myself to him. And he stood up and he says, "Oh, I didn't recognize you. You're taller on Twitter."
Yeah, you're taller on Twitter.
What?
You're taller on Twitter.
Yeah, well, he's also extremely tall. So, we're talking about somebody who's well over 6 feet tall. So, he stood up and it was like a tower above me. But yeah, I did. I didn't follow up, and he came to my presentation, but he didn't say anything afterwards. So I don't know what he thought of it. But
yeah,
you're actually not as angry as I thought you'd be. like when people meet me, they're like, and I'm like, if you knew what I knew, you'd be angry a lot too. But is that, perception is whatever it is. But we do this for the right reasons, and totally stoked to see you guys in Fairfax. It's
gonna be awesome.
Blend. Lisa, you're a trooper. We got your room early, so when you get in, you can.
Thank you.
And you're set. But everybody, if anybody watching, if you guys are coming from different parts of the states, we did get group rates. There's the hotel right down the street. It's like 7 minutes from the facility. If anybody traveling from Virginia Beach or other parts, we're able to get group rates for cheaper rooms if you guys went to spend the night, since it is over at 8:00 at night. So Eventbrite, if you can't find the link, just Fairfax, Virginians for Children's First, pop up. And like I said, if you're a teacher or you've got a huge group of people, that's coming, just contact us and we'd be glad to work on rates for you guys. And ladies, I'm going to run because I've got a county to get AFP out of, and I'm going to go do that now. And so I will talk to you guys later and see you next week.
Okay, bye.
All right, bye. How do I get rid of it? There we go. All right. All right, guys. So I've got to run because Chesterfield Tea Party, Jeffrey Sachs is going to be speaking on his book about the Constitution and where we are headed. He's in Fredericksburg. And I do believe that he's going to be running in D7. That's what I heard. So I'm super stoked. Chesterfield Tea Party, if you're watching tonight at the Great American Ranch, is that we are giving Chesterfield another option to the GOP. And we are federated. We are the official Virginia Chesterfield Tea Party. And I am running out the door to that and hope to see you there. And like I said, as always, we are grassroots. We are not astroturf. Nobody flew us in, laid us out to appear as if we grew from the ground up. All of this stuff that we do, flying people in, getting hotel rooms, booking, there's like 2 of us really that do this. Me and my air and ground support. I'm the front runner. But so like always, you can go to our website, even if it's $5. If every parent that we've helped in Virginia gave $5, we could do a lot more. But so just, I hate doing housekeeping. It's like, ugh. But, is that every penny helps, because this has become Bobby working on the weekend, surveying, me almost getting divorced. And I'm a mom too. I have a 6 and 13-year-old. So every penny helps. We can continue doing things like this and bringing more people in and doing things that nobody else is doing, because that's what grassroots is, because you can't grow grass from the bottom down. That's what grassroots versus astroturf. Which is what Virginia's up against, especially in my county. So every dollar helps, because we don't have big dark money. We don't have the Koch brothers, the Coctopus. We don't have the Kraken funding us. This is for the people, by the people, as government, and as 501c4s and advocacy groups should be. So on that note, I'm out the door. And I will talk to you guys later. And I will see you hopefully next week. And like I said, if you need any rooms or info about getting group tickets, or you're a teacher and you need a discounted ticket, because we just want to recoup costs. We're not trying to make money, because that's all we care about. We just want to fix things. I don't care if I ever get paid. This is my job. My husband doesn't care. And he's amazing. And he probably should get more applause. Both of our spouses do. So on that note, I'm out of here, and I'm so excited to do this with y'all and do something I don't think that probably has ever been done across the nation, and then have the experiment of working in a workshop and making sure that all questions are answered, that we have the discussions that need to be had, even if they're uncomfortable, as to what people's feelings about things are, and work through it together, so that everybody can then leave, go back to your divisions, and know how to talk about it, and then ask the right questions. Because like I said, November's election is crucial, whether it's school board, board of supervisors, delegate, senator, sheriffs, because super PACs, the governor, but anyways, people, I'm not going to get into that, but and really start asking the questions, because the way the R versus the D is going is that it is no longer R versus D. It is way beyond that. And so on that note, I'll see you guys later, and I'm off to the tea party. Bye.